How's it going, YouTube? Not a big video person. Not definitely not big on putting my face out there, but it seems to be a turning of the tide, and I don't know how long I'll be around on this old earth. And something been rattling around, been thinking about for a few days, and I didn't really understand it when I was younger, but now that I'm getting older, it's really starting to come into focus. Would be the right word. What we do, it matters. It's unbelievably important. Everything you do and say, and everything that people do and say to you, echoes from now until forever. Whether it's good or bad, it's like throwing a rock in a pond. That the ripple effect that has continues on. Even after you don't see the ripples anymore, the interruption of the process after the rock hit the pond, hit the water, broke the surface tension of that water, changed everything in that pond. I can think back to 100 different events growing up. Grew up pretty poor. I mean, we knew it, but we didn't care. We were kids, Doesn't really mean anything, but that's how we grew up. And every person that come into my life changed it, and it affected me like that rock hitting that pond. And not only did it affect me, but it affected my children, and it's going to affect their children and their children, and it never ends. Because every decision that we make or that is made in direction of us matters, and it matters forever. I'll show you an example. Dad left when I was 8 or 9, something like that. I can't really remember the exact age, but it broke me, hurt me pretty bad. I was the oldest boy, and I seen the struggle that my mom went through trying to carry 2-3 jobs, trying to keep food on and be able to give us the normal things kids get without letting the kids know that you're struggling. Parents out there, you know what I'm talking about. And she brought home, I say brought home, she just had someone come home with her one night to meet us, and they went out on a date. And that was the end of that. But he come to the door, and I guess I'd been arguing with her about something, I can't remember. And the man looked at me and said, "Son, the way you're acting and the way you think, you will end up in prison, or you'll end up dead." And I remember thinking I was just rebellious with a bad attitude. Yeah, screw you, bud. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. But because of the words that came out of that man's mouth, and that mindset that I have naturally as a rebellious kid, my mindset was, I'll show you. Them words he said always kept me from going too far. And I was a pretty bad kid. I was pretty rough. But it always kept me from going too far because I'd hear them words played in my mind. "Son, you're going to end up in prison or dead." And I always pulled back because of that. And had that man not said that, that was the only time I met that man. I never saw him again after that I can recall. And had that man not made that one statement to me, I don't think I'd be here right now. It's that important. I think I'd be dead or in prison right now. The direction I was going. I don't even know the man's name. It's insignificant for this topic. The fact that my dad left me, well, that caused me to have serious insecurities as a man. And I spent most of my adult life trying to please, overly trying to please every father figure type personality that I got involved with, in whether it was the workforce or whatever factor in life, wherever that male figure was, man, if I hadn't had my dad leave me and do that, I wouldn't be wired like I am today. And I'm very loyal. I'm a very loyal guy. I don't mess around. I'll die for my family. I'll die for my kids. And there's no amount of work I won't do to keep them in a good lifestyle. I'm just very loyal, and a lot of that came from feeling abandoned. It's I mean, that's, and these are pretty logical things, but we really don't take the time to stop and think the seriousness of your involvement in other people's lives and their involvement in yours, because what you do and what you say matters forever. And it will the things you do and say today will go so far out in time they'll outlive you. Because I raised my kids in a certain way, because of that mindset, that loyalty mindset, that thought process that I had, because of my personal abandonment issues as a kid. So I'd like to just impress on you to be conscious of what we say and what we think and what our actions are, because they have real effects, and they really do travel from now to the end of time, the effects of what we do and say. And that goes both ways. So when I was in my 20s, and I don't even know what compelled me to do it, but I picked up a phone and I called my dad, who had left our family. And I just forgive him. I forgave him. I didn't tell him why. I just let him know I forgive you. And I forgive you for everything. It was just a blanket statement. It meant nothing. But I'm going to tell you, it changed my world to do that. It changed everything and how I think by doing that. And it changed his too. Because I didn't realize it, but he was hurting from doing it. He was hurting from being not in that picture with us no more. So it improved both people's lives. What's the old saying? Forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it will change your future. And that's never been a truer statement. Be mindful of people around you. Be mindful of your children. Be mindful of other people's children. Because the man that affected my life, he's nobody to me. He doesn't remember me, I doubt. He doesn't. I was just some snotty-nosed 10-year-old kid. But he changed the course of my life by making that statement to me. Be mindful of the things you say to other people and the actions that you do, because they will affect people forever, for the rest of their lives and for the lives of their children. What you do and say matters. I got a youngster or two that's been brought into my life, I believe divinely, don't have fathers, and really don't have much of anything. And there's special principles that have been spoken about for years, for millennia, since the dawn of time, about taking care of widows and orphans. And there's something special about that a man should always step up and take care of widows and orphans, especially if he's in a position to do it. But I see the effects that one man can have on someone without a father, and someone who needs you positioned in their life for just a time as this. and the role you may play in their life is so significant that you or I could not comprehend the repercussions from it and how far out into the future it can go. I believe the man's name was Andy Andrews. That was he was a keynote speaker somewhere, but he talks about, and he wrote a few books on the effects of what we do and how far out the repercussions go from what decisions we make today. And I think he used the example of George Washington Carver and, was it Thomas Jefferson? It's been too long since I've read his books, but very, very wise stuff. There are certain things in our lives that come along that impact us in such a way that it alters and changes the course of our future. And I just feel like I need to say that out loud and need to be mindful of that, and somebody needs to hear that. And well, anyway, I'm not a YouTube guy. I'm not a video guy. I just thought I'd put that out there. Seems like it's awful important. I know it was in my life. Anyway, the Creator bless you. And thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. Have a good night.